Hello, welcome friends. This is Cyndi Silva. Welcome to the Metaphysical Wisdom podcast. I'm here with my friends Dani and Reyna. We're just fresh out of a spring Qigong retreat that they led, and I was just excited to come into the space and do a little review of my personal experience because it was just really enriching. As a Qigong teacher myself, I just got to see some real depth. I've led, classes and half-day retreats, but never a 3-day retreat. So you guys have you two have really shown me how holding space for a longer period of time can really enrich and provide more depth. And that's what I experienced. So I want to open it up for each of you to share a little bit about your work with Qigong, and you work so beautifully together, and that synergy is just another whole piece of what I experienced. So let's have you each say a few words and bring your energy into the space, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, well, I'll get started. So of course, thank you, Cyndi, for this time. And yes, fresh out of retreat, very feeling all the beautiful blessings already from just being together. And so seeing you again here. Very grateful. And of course to lovely Dani.
Yes.
Yeah, just feels so good. I feel like I just smile right now. This is me right now. So really, my journey with Qigong has been 13 years. And the moment I came to it, I knew that this was the path for me. This was really the rest of my life. And one of the very amazing things on this journey, beyond exploring myself and learning my true self-awareness, is really meeting an amazing community and amazing teachers, amazing friends. Like Dani, we've been now our 17th retreat we just completed. And really this community that has allowed us to continue to grow. And yes, to be in space, to hold space for our deepest healings. And so really, that's how I came to Qigong. The moment I came to it, I knew it. And I've been practicing Zhineng Qigong for the last 13 years. And it's been a blessing for myself and for my family, and is my life journey.
Thank you, Reyna. Beautifully said. Dani?
Qigong, the love of my life. So I found Qigong when I was ready for it, like probably 18, 17 years ago, something like that. And before my path started moving from Italy, coming to California, and with the excuse to learn the language, English. And what happened, my English teacher opened the door to my new life, to my new journey. And that's when the student is ready, teacher will appear. And that's how my journey started. And from there, yoga. And from there, when I was ready, Qigong and Zhineng Qigong. And I will always remember the moment I had my first encounter and experience. I completely said yes. That became my life, my job, my dharma, my passion, my practice. So that moment, that experience of walking into the room and finding what I was always looking for, the meditation before, the yoga, everything prepared me to get to that point. And when I experienced Zhineng, Qigong, I had no idea what Qigong was, but that was, yes. I felt my heart in a way that I know I was home. I know that was the peace I was always missing and looking for. So
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. When I was first introduced to it, that wasn't my experience. I'm glad I finally matured to appreciate it, because I was much younger and it was too slow for me, and I didn't have the capacity at the time to slow down. and really get the benefit of it. And I do now. And I'm just so glad it's come full circle for me. And it's really brought me into a community of people that I just really treasure being with and sharing practice with, and meeting people like you. It's just really like coming home, as you say, coming home to something that's always been there, but it was a seed that needed the right phase of life and maturity and so forth to mature. One of the things I really appreciated about this retreat is the way you reframe things, and how the subtle but very powerful messages of the healing has already happened. And at one point, Reyna was leading a practice, and I was connecting to, in the La Chi practice, I was just thinking, oh, I'm connecting to all the people who have ever done this before, and pulling in all that. And then you said, connect to all the master. You know, it was like we were just really in sync. And I know of others in the retreat that participated have been raving and sending me messages and saying, you know, that they were right there too. And so I'd just like to confirm that and open it up for you to say anything you'd like to about that whole reframing of everything's in the present moment. It's not something we're waiting in the future for, but we're connecting now to that which we are. We already are, but maybe not fully experiencing.
Yes. Well, I'll start with that. You know, there's really so many layers to it, but again, it's so simple. It is just saying the yes. And Dani has coined that term in our retreat. It's the yes of acknowledging who we are, of bringing our true self to the forefront and not letting the stories to hamper and distort, you know, what our true vision is, which is being here now as a divine being, having the human experience. And we understand that as we continue to progress and grow, we can sense that everything we need is right here, right now. Nothing more. We are already in the abundance. And when we cultivate and we awaken our mind, we can start to taste that more and more. And we all taste it at different levels. It can be through practice. It can be walking on the beach. It can be hugging a dear friend. But to cultivate that, to be the center of our lives and to radiate from that, from the infinite possibilities. This is why we continue to practice, continue to cultivate, and just remind ourselves. We're really just reminding ourselves of who we are and letting go of what no longer serves us. And we do it together. So yes, and we are practicing. It's the information with all the times we have practiced, all the times we'll practice in the future, all practitioners from around the world continuing the practice. Qi doesn't know the distinction between future and past. It's all happening here now.
Yeah, it's all the same field. Yeah, Dani, would you like to comment?
Yeah, it's so beautiful what you said, because there was a moment actually very clear in my Zhineng Qigong journey that came very clear that it's not do something to get something, practice this to get something else, because it's beautiful. Zhineng Qigong and all spiritual practices are wonderful, but if we come from a doing something to get something, it's again, we stay into that duality, me, you, good, bad. So there was a moment, it was very clear that, wow, Zhineng Qigong, it's oneness. Zhineng Qigong, it's a no-duality path. It's really being home, being here now, and already healed, already happy, already home, already one. No more the master, the teacher, the student. We're one. the good, the bad. No, one, the reflection. We are the mirror. So that was an important point of this journey, to shift also my own practice and the way we share it.
Beautiful. And for those that aren't familiar with Zhineng Qigong, and I hope I'm saying it correctly.
Perfectly.
Yeah. Would you like to share about that tradition and how that's unique and why you fell in love with it for those that are unfamiliar?
Yes. You go, Reyna?
You go.
Zhineng Qigong, I love it. Just a translation, intelligent way to cultivate life energy. And going back to what you shared at the beginning of our conversation, when I went to my first encounter, I remember still reading Qigong and having the reaction, Qigong, it's not my thing, Qigong. I was zero interest to that Qigong, to the Buddhist. I was more into the Indian, to the chanting, to the colors. So there was some concept about the word that was keeping me away from it. But when I heard the healing meditation at Zhineng Qigong, so there was that, the healing, okay, I go there for healing. And when I walk into the room, running from being late, from parking, not even knowing why I was going there, and so frantic. And I still remember walking, and with all the noise, with all hundreds of people, with all activities and sounds, I felt like, boom, present. So present. Like everything was there, but my interest was not there anymore, was here. And I look around trying to understand, to discover what was going on there. And I see this little teacher there sitting with his eyes closed. And it was doing what I can call now organizing the chi field. It was setting the field. And I remember thinking, I don't know what you're doing, but I want that. So that was my experience. The Zhineng Qigong is so open. We go straight to the void, to the nature, to the blue sky, and we bring it back. So the exchange and the opening and closing is really what makes Zhineng special, beautiful.
Thank you for that. That's very helpful. And I got the chills when you said he was organizing the chi field. Really felt that. And yeah, the field that you organized together is very beautiful too. I felt it throughout the whole retreat. You want to say something, Reyna, about the tradition?
Yes. So much to share. Really, of course, Qigong. Yes, many people are like, what is this? And, Qi, life force energy. Gong is cultivation or work. And Zhineng, it's wisdom mind. So we use the power of our mind. And I feel that may be a distinction where we use a lot of our consciousness through the movements. We focus holistically. So we have practices for the physical body, practices to harmonize the emotions, the inner organs. We have practices to awaken the mind. But at the forefront, we're always coming back to that awareness. And I feel that with the wisdom mind to cultivate life force energy, this is the direct translation, and it supports to really awaken the potential of our mind. Again, like Dani was sharing, traditionally, Qigong was very, master and student, and only after many years will the teacher share. There's tradition and there's a beauty in that tradition. Yet this is modern Qigong, where these masters said, the time is now for the entire world, for human consciousness to evolve. And so many of them broke from the tradition of saying, okay, I can only teach to the 6 ears. I can only have a few students and they study for a long time with me before, I give the secrets. These masters said, we're just going to go out into the West and share all the levels, share different levels, and whoever's ready. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the person is ready to cultivate at a certain level, that practice will make sense to them. But they weren't keeping it to themselves. Everything is open. So it's an open system.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel the time has come for certain, and you can feel the growth of Qigong, culturally in this part of the world. Very, I feel, it's just going to be the next yoga. Yeah. So I apologize. There's a little background noise here. So I want to move on to the next question for you so I can mute and not have that noise. What I'm really respecting in the way you hosted the retreat and structured it is this really beautiful balance of yin and yang, where there was a structure of the morning session and afternoon session. You were always started on time, ended on time. The breaks were consistent. And yet in that structure, those practices, I went so deep in one of the chi naps we did that Dani led. I was like, I don't know if I can come out of this and get back on this, this being awake thing. So there's just, I could feel that there's like these balance of yin and yang within the structure, within the practices, within you two trading off. There was such a beautiful passing of the baton back and forth. And it was just this kind of beautiful wave of dancing, the Qi dancing. And at one point I was seeing, I think it was when we were doing the Qi walking meditation, how I felt like I was in a labyrinth, and I had this vision of the Tai Chi symbol or the yin yang symbol. And I could see the white circle in the dark side and the dark circle in the white side being the mind in the body and the body in the mind. And you speak about that quite a bit in some of our practices. So I'd love to have you share a little bit about what does it mean to have the mind in the body and then the body in the mind, the big mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, first I'll say, it's a few retreats ago, one of our students actually sent us a picture of the yin and yang symbol with our pictures in it. So, you picked up, of course, on that yin and yang energy that Dani and I share. It's so great. Yes, as you shared with the structure, we want to honor and respect the time. And so within the different sessions, we go deep, bring out, and let that consistency be part of the practice as well. There's a structure, but again, there's also that full freedom to explore. And as I was sharing, Zhineng Qigong looks at the body holistically, and so we want to honor and respect this physical body. This is why we are here. This is why we can even be on this plane. And so at the same time, our consciousness can also reflect and manifest this physical body. But to do that consciously, a relationship must be awoken within us, that of course we have the body doing what it does. We have the mind doing what it does. But when we integrate, and this is why we do a lot of going in, and many of us, as you shared before, Cyndi, at a different time in our life, we would not be attracted to Qigong because we are very used to being external. That's all we may have known. And from being at a certain speed of our thinking, of our doing, like Dani shared, to go to a practice that actually makes us slow down. It's like the hamster on the wheel. There's a time where it's like, whoa, this is not attracting me. And a certain moment in time, though, when we taste what it's like to be inside, to be from a place of deep knowing that I am here, I am love, I am valuing myself enough to pay that attention, to pay that love, to be here, and from here radiate outward. That once you taste that, I believe, and I feel that we all have tasted it. That's why we are practicing Qigong. But once you taste that, that inner mind actually becomes bigger out here. Then you see from a different view. You'd see from a different view, as opposed to if we've lived our whole lives out here, we may be so focused on something this way and we don't open our awareness. So I believe the more in you are, the more out you are too. Yeah.
Well said. I love that explanation. Thank you, Reyna. Dani, I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Body, what I see, Shen, consciousness, body, Jin, and Qi. So what with Zhineng Qigong, with our practice, the Shen, the consciousness, is returning the master of this body, of this Qi, and the master also of the mind. So the mind can become a wonderful tool to manifest, to create, to think from the healing, the active healing mind. So but it's all about returning, allowing the Shen, the consciousness, to return the master. And the beauty of Zhineng is like connecting to what Reyna, you just sharing. I am here, present, fully inside, and I am expanded. So what one of the moment when I fall in love with Zhineng was also this clear experience that before, with all the meditation I experienced before, it was all about expanding and dissolving. But with the Zhineng was, I expand, but I am here. So I am always here, always in this body. So always centered, always connected. And I open and expand. So keeping the dance between, we dissolve, and oops, I'm here, taking care of this body, taking care of this temple, nourishing, receiving, drinking the qi. So that balance and that dance is very beautiful.
Yeah, my experience of that expanding is that we live, we're energy, so we exist on all these planes of reality, right? And when we expand, we're integrating. Things can get in the way if we're not doing regular practice of some kind. It's like not taking a shower, right? Like you just open the lines of communication between all parts of yourself. Not that there's any separateness, but the different levels of consciousness, if you will, or intelligence at different levels. They're more refined in the outer, if you will, subtler fields. And then you get into the denser physical, and that expanding out is just like this. It's hard to find a word to describe it, but my experience was just this welcoming in the potential of my most sensitive receptors, and to bring that into the body, and to create more circulation, right? Of course, is what the objective of all practice, not just blood circulation, but circulation of all information and belonging and so forth. And what I want to keep coming back to this perfect balance of the yin and yang with the retreat, because there were practices that were very active and very challenging, right? We did this for how long? My shoulders were burning. And then there were practices that were so passive that there was nothing to do but receive. So I love that balance. And what's unique about this, for I think most people maybe new to Qigong, is that sometimes you stay with one single practice for a whole hour, where in the typical Qigong class that you might find at a club or something like the classes I lead, we're changing the practice, right? We're going from one practice to another, which is beautiful and creates a flow and an opening. But the ones where you really stay with that, I think you use the word will, and there's something about burning through some of the old injuries, old stagnant energies that open circulation for a new flow. And you have to get through that sort of that resistance and that wanting to give up, and just like having a second wind and staying with it and getting the benefits on the other side. I'd love to have you each share a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. Dani, do you want to go?
You go.
Okay. So, yes, we have, we wanted, first of all, in our retreats, because of how Dani and I work together, we come together and we say, okay, what's the intention of this retreat? And the overall intention of most of our retreats, if not all, is for us to directly experience. And to directly experience, knowing that there's different levels of participants, knowing that each practice has its own gifts to share, we give the spectrum. In Zhineng Qigong, there's approximately 300 different practices and meditations. And I'll say now, I don't know them all, and I probably won't know them all. And that's not the point. The point is to develop the relationship with those that will serve you, those that will help you progress. And so in our times together, we're doing 3-4 days, sometimes even, and we're doing hours a day. And so we are, journeying together. And so we want to share the static practices, the ones where there's no movement and we continue to train our mind. We want to do the practices that, yes, will make us really have to go deeper than our sensations, deeper than that voice that says, I can't do this. Because that's where we put ourselves to that place in the mind when we have that intention of saying, okay, we're doing this together. Another reason we come together in community, the chi field supports us. So you may experience yourself being able to do the practice longer when we're in community, but you take that information and say, you know what, I did this practice without stopping for 14, 15, 30 minutes. I can do this. I did it. And that continues to build your self-confidence, continues to build your will. And yes, many areas of our body, the moment we've had an injury, we can completely forget about it, but the body doesn't forget. And so we have that story inside that says, oh, I can't do this anymore. But when we don't move our body, the flow starts to go, it's not optimal. And so these practices are to bring our body to the manufacture settings, or as close to that as we can, bring it back to the best as we can with what the body that we have now, to be able to let that flow of chi. But to do that, we're going to maybe at one point hit the wall, but we go through. And this is the benefit here. But it's, again, not to do it. We're not doing it to get something. We are revealing the power of our will to our own selves. And when we understand the power of our mind, and we realize that the power of the mind with this will can influence this body. I know many times, many students have done this and they're like, okay, my arms are going to fall off, but we keep pushing a little bit more and you feel like, oh, I'm so sore. Sometimes even just a few minutes later, that soreness goes away because it's not the muscle that worked, it's the chi that's continuing to work. And so we don't do exercise to build the muscle, we're moving to move the chi. That's the difference between exercise and Qigong practice. So that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Yes, and these very strong, intense practices are a way to really experience the Shen, the consciousness, returning the master of this body. So feeling the pain, feeling that sensation, being there, and welcoming that sensation, welcoming even the conversation of the mind, oh, I'm done, too long, and be there and holding the movement, the posture, and welcoming, offering the space. Like I open the attention. I open the attention. So it's not anymore the effort. We never start from the effort. If we start from effort, we're done after 2 seconds. So, but more I melt, more I step back, more I am the master, and I allow the master to take over of the body, of directing the chi. And when we do this in a chi field, like Reyna, you were saying, it's so beautiful because we stay longer. The power of the chi field is so amazing. When sometimes we even encourage the students, just be there doing nothing, allowing the chi field to do the work for you. And we really mean it, because even if we're not holding there and we are resting, we are receiving that information that yes, I can hold it, I can be there. And again, I rest and I lift it up. And the experience will always be there. So even when I would be practicing by myself, I will remember the moment in the retreat. The chi field will always be with us. So the power of practicing together is incredible, to manifest, to create, to go through the most difficult practices, and also to be able to relax to a level, to melt to a level that sometimes on our own is more difficult. So that the dance between working hard, and resting and melting, it's definitely one of all our work together has been incredible to balance that. And as probably you tasted, we love to share so much. We love to give fully our hearts. And when we come together.
Yeah, very generous. That's another balance I appreciate and recognize in the teaching. There was a lot of sharing of philosophy and wisdom, but also a lot of practice. Very, very helpful. You include both. And you mentioned something to the effect about being brave and courageous as a teacher. And you inspired me to do more of the standing poses and the harder things with my students, because I thought, I've always been a little shy about holding them to that, because I want them to come back,
This is why we do a chi nap, my dear. So.
Okay. I get the secret. Yeah, that was my favorite part, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have to share that. So the first time I was assisting my first teacher, and it put me there in this beautiful room with 100. That was my first experience of teaching to a group of probably 100 students. And the teacher left, and he completely gave me permission to do whatever I wanted. And it was not there. And I mean, Tai Chi has been my favorite practice from day one. So I started practice with this Tai Chi, and I think we went on 20 minutes or something like that. And I could feel the room was like hating me. They all hate me. It was completely like, and at the end was heaven. And when I met my teacher for the lunch break, said, I heard you did Tai Chi. And yes, I love Tai Chi. No, you don't do Tai Chi. People don't come back. The students don't come back with Tai Chi. So I remember when you were talking about that, yes, being brave and courageous, because the opening in 10 minutes, 5 minutes of that is profound. So, yes.
Yeah. Well, that has been my experience of doing those standing poses and holding them for 10, 15, 20 minutes, of really feeling the reservoirs of my legs and my torso and my arms filled with chi, and getting so warm in the core, and having my mouth filled with saliva, and all the clear fluids is coming out of my eyes practically, that, you know, I'm like, wow, this is what they're talking about. This is it. And how healing that is for the body to be flooded with that chi, and how much energy I had the whole day from that deeper practice, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I feel that, again, you know, we balance. It's all a balance on so many levels. And balance doesn't mean like this perfect, it's like a dance. I would like to say more a dance, you know, and it's a dance with the physical, a dance with the mental, with the emotional, with physical practice, with nourishment. And you'll see in our retreats, Dani and I, we do the practices. So we're doing it together. We don't, you know, one person leaves, another person is like, we are fully, you know, supporting each other, practicing. You know, we want it to, again, teacher and student, we're all teachers and we're all students. And so this is one of the things with Zhineng Qigong. We all do it together. We all do it together. And as, you know, we develop, we are reading the field. We're like, okay, what is needed? What is next? So we have our ideas, but then in the moment, okay, we literally can be like, okay, what's next? What's next? And bringing that, you know, to really make each retreat unique. Because the people that are there are unique. They might even be the same people, but they might be in a different space. And so we read that, we sense that. And this is where we still develop very close relationships with our students. We call them students, friends, whatever, you know, we have this connection. And when it's time for us to lead, we know that they trust us. And we take that trust, you know, so much respect that they trust us to lead them. And this is why we will push them a little bit more, but we always have the invitation, okay, right. Push yourself, let the field support you. If you need to rest, that's also a skill for us to be able to say within our own selves, I need to take a break. There's times Dani's been leading and I can have my ego say, well, I'm the teacher. I have to have my arms up. No way, Jose. There's times I'm like, oh, I'm processing something right now. I'm going to bring my hands down. Okay, I'm ready. Come back. Just continue.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Honoring the body. And you did mention that I love this piece where you shared how the body is doing the best that it can. The body's really showing up and doing what it's here to do. And I do also appreciate how, and this is coming up in another teaching that I'm holding space for with a group, where the Shen leads. We don't want the Jing to lead, right? We want to make sure the body isn't leading, but right. the mind, the bigger mind, is leading, and how to put that in priority. You know, how do we recognize when we're letting the body lead, and that may not be taking us where we want to go? Do you have any advice on that, or want to be more clear in defining that for us?
Oh, I'll say with that, it's always a relationship. They're really in this body. We want to reframe and understand that this body is part of the solution. If we want to heal, we want to work with the body. And somehow, some way, many people have separated either through trauma or through different things. And so the mind, we sense we just live up here, and something happens to the body. It's like, oh, you're not doing what I want you to do. But that's not the optimal way. That's not the way of love. That's not the way of integration. And so we want to, again, honor this body and know that the Shen is the master, but it's not a master, you know, it's an embracing, loving. And this is where when our mind becomes the story, becomes the ego, it becomes very strong. And so we want to bring all pieces of ourself back together. And once we understand with our true self-awareness, this body's also a reflection. This body's also me. This is part of the solution. If I want to heal this physical body, knowing that the body's doing the best that it can, with my true love to my own self. So I would say also with the awareness, what we were sharing in the retreat, attention is love. And so when we look at this body and we actually really listen, not to control it or say, don't do this, it's to say, how can I support you? It's the integration.
Yeah. I'm hearing what you're saying. The way I'm hearing it is like it's all universal love, but the body aspect of that is less informed. It doesn't see the bigger picture, right? So we don't want that aspect to be leading because it can't see the whole, right? There's something, that we want to open the communication between the body and the aspect of mind that sees the whole, has access to, how to work as with this companion of itself. It is itself in a companion form as a vehicle for, like you say, manifesting. An instrument that we need to tune every day if we want to play good music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dani, you want to share anything about that relationship?
For me, it always goes back to the heart, and to embrace this body from the big infinite being that I am. So to take care of this body from the oneness that I am. To start welcoming how I feel, the sensation, the experiences, the memories, the trauma. And when I open the attention, I offer the space, and immediately I remember, I experience that I am bigger body, a bigger being. The chi, the mist is here. I'm empty and not empty. So I taking care of this body from the big being that I am.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm just really grateful for the opportunity and how, even though we were all over different parts of the country and maybe even the world, I'm not sure where everybody was coming from, but it felt like we were in the same room. Really, I had that sense of feeling in a community. And I met most of them for the very first time, right? I'd never met them before, but it was so welcoming and so inclusive, and it was just easy to drop in and feel at home. So thank you both for providing that container. And I can sense that you've done this together at least 17 times, but I think even if it had been my first retreat, that you had been working together, I would have felt that. I just feel that within your relationship, that there's a destined space between you that's meant to nourish and hold this tradition and carry it into the world, into people's homes directly. You're entering into people's homes. It's very intimate, very transparent. There's a lot of transparency, which feels, it engenders trust, as you mentioned. I want to thank you both so much for welcoming me in and introducing me to some new tools. And I guess I want to end with this because I had never heard this, but I'm delighted. I'm going to repeat it because I love it, about the tongue being the only part of the body that lives inside and outside. And because it's connected to the heart, I mean, you didn't say this, so you don't agree, you can say so. But my hit on that intuitively was that because it's connected to the heart, it's like we can put our heart out into the world, right? We can wear our heart on our sleeve. We can let our heart be seen through the speech, through the words, through what we share. And so I had heard about, I was aware that the lungs are the only internal organ directly exposed to the outside air, but I hadn't heard that about the tongue and the heart. So if there's anything you want to share about that with our listeners that weren't in the retreat, that why you shared that and what else you might want to say about it.
Yeah, I love, I love Chinese medicine. So obviously Qigong is a branch of Chinese medicine, Qi being the root of Chinese medicine. And, I love learning about the physical body, the meridians. And yeah, I completely resonate with what you're saying. Yes, there's a heart point on the tip of the tongue. And yes, when we bring the tongue in and out, absolutely. This is another reason why we raise the tip of the tongue up to the soft palate, where the soft and hard palate meet, in the roof of the mouth, because the tongue represents the heart. So when we raise the tongue up, the mind and the heart are also merged in that oneness. And so, again, as we explore together, Dani and I, we live probably like 30 minutes away from each other. We're leading the retreat, but energetically, we're holding hands, we're holding heart and saying, okay, let's share. And we give each other that freedom. And from, that knowledge we share, because that may inspire someone that may say, okay, the field is calling. And so why I shared it in this moment in time, can't really say, but, it was like, it just came out and it's like, yeah, random factoid, here we are. So yeah. And, it helps us appreciate this amazing, amazing being that we are on all levels. And so any of that, we share freely. And Dani was sharing the red dragon. What is it?
Swirling in the ocean.
I'd never heard that before. So that's another thing. Her and I, we learn from each other.
Right.
And we have that respect and say, okay, you share, and we're practicing together. And so we are supporting each other as teachers as well. So another gift. Yeah.
Yes, I want to say that 17 retreats are together, but I just knew from the first moment when I met you, Reyna, I just knew right away your love, your passion. Like we are a mirror to each other in our passion and dedication to Qigong. And so it was just like and also love, passion, dedication to Qigong, and also the big heart that we share and we have with each other, with the friends, with the students, everything. So it's been an incredible journey to create the community. All these students, they really trust us, like you were saying, they trust us also because they really experience and they witness the respect that we have for each other. They see it's so important it doesn't happen too often to see many people collaborating and sticking for 17 retreats together. And not only that, we became most incredible friends. So also the friendship, and we play together, we're friends, and we are teaching together. So it's been a beautiful gift.
Yeah, I feel it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your friendship with us and letting us come into your circle and play.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure. There were a number of people who shared some testimonials during the retreat of having some breakthroughs just in the 3 days. So that was really, really lovely to see and be part of and witness. And course, you shared that it's the group field that can contribute to that, where we never know who's bringing what to the table, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I love, like in a circle where we practice here outdoors, you know, somebody's energy could be raising the whole field, and we don't know who that is because it's invisible. And so it's anonymous, which is wonderful because we don't have to, yeah.
It is. And so even when sometimes we experience there is the resistance, we know that the resistance is there and there is no name. It's beautiful.
Right. Same. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. So what I think we'll do is just put links to your websites in the video. And then if you'd like to share anything about your upcoming classes or anything you'd like our listeners to know about what you're offering and how they can be part of that.
So we both have weekly classes, and we have them on opposite times, again, to respect. And I personally always encourage, you know, we have, we can say shared students, but really anyone is free to go anywhere. And because again, we're both, even though we have our own separate classes, we're sharing Zhineng Qigong, and we're sharing the essence. And so for me personally, I have Monday evening, Tuesday morning, Thursday morning, I have a Tuesday Spanish class. And, you know, we have themes, things change through the seasons, and everything specific standard time. And as of now is on Zoom. So, yeah.
And I teach Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 10. So that have been my practices, my morning classes. I call it the morning classes. And I offer, the gem. The first Tuesday of every month, I offer a healing night. And I've been offering these healing nights probably for 15 years already. And it's like 90 minutes, like a chin-up we experience in the retreat. Students, friends join, sometimes just only on the phone, and a beautiful healing meditation. So that happens every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of each month. And I love offering immersions, like 3 hours immersions, like mini workshop. Like on Sunday 27, I would do a sound immersion. So 3 hours on experiencing and between the teaching and the practice. So I offer those monthly, like a half day, 3 hours to go deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I've participated in those as well. And really, again, I go really deep. You really take people deep, Dani. Your energy is just lovely, and it's just so uplifting, and yeah, your smile, and yeah, just a beautiful innocence about, yeah.
And for sure, we're coming back with another retreat.
Yes.
In summer. We don't have the dates yet, but we will keep you posted.
Yeah, I highly encourage anyone who's listening to do attend a retreat and experience it for yourself. So is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up? I feel like I want to just go and luxuriate in the energy of this, the rest of my weekend from what's been given, and it's still just percolating, and I feel like I'm going to get some really deep rest tonight. I'm already feeling like I'm on my way there.
I would just like to say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was go.
You know, thank you for your yes. Thank you for your own work. And, you know, we're all together supporting our potential as human beings and letting ourselves enjoy. So thank you for sharing the good information with everyone.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you. And amazing to have this conversation after the retreat. Thank you.
Yeah.
For being there, saying yes, coming fully.
Yeah. Yeah. So fresh. We wanted to stay in the field of this, and yeah, thank you for providing it, and yeah, all that you do and offer, and for saying yes to this, to showing up again after serving all weekend. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in and showing up for yourself by living and learning and staying open and happy. Bye for now.
Ciao.